What is going on? I am Cole and welcome back to my channel. Thank you all for stopping by. And if you're here, it's because you most likely want to see what my most anticipated comics are for the first new comic book day of next year, which is going to be January 1st, 2023. And if you want to see what those are, make sure you stick through this intro.
Most anticipated comic books. Most anticipated comic books from Cole.
And if you are new here, I usually go through about 5 comics that I'm looking forward to. Next week, I bring a guest on with me and they give a pitch for one of their books. I like to do this because it adds in a little bit of a different perspective than what maybe I'm looking for. I know there have been certain people that have brought books that I don't read, and I want to be able to let people know about other stuff that is still solid out there that maybe I'm missing or maybe I'm overlooking. So if you would like to join me on this ride, please let me know. I have a link down below. It will go to my link tree. You can either email me or hit me up on Instagram if you would like to join this show. I would love to have you on just to hear some new perspectives. You can talk about your favorite cover. You can talk about your favorite book that's coming out, or even if there's like a trade paperback that you're super pumped for, you can let me know about it. For those of you who are new here, this part is usually for you. I pretty much bring this up every time I do this show, and it's just a little bit of cleaning so that you know where I get my information. So I always go to leagueofcomicgeeks.com. I know that there has been other sites out there. I know that Preview, it seems that I know my buddy Dan Piercy over at D Piercy Comics, he had mentioned that if you use previews, you can see DC stuff, but you have to have a pull box through your local comic shop. I do not. But the reason I bring this up is because this is where I pick my picks of the week. Sometimes there may be a book that I talk about that is either delayed or been pushed back, and if I get it from here, that's just where I get it from. And I'd like to let you know, usually this video comes out the Friday before New Comic Book Day, so there are always chances that comics get moved along in the shuffle from that time. So I like to lead with that in case you find something, you go to ask about it, and maybe it comes out the previous week. It's most likely that no, I didn't just make something up. It's just that when I did my research, things were a little bit different. But let's get into these comics. Usually I like to break them up into 2 different categories, and it's usually either the number ones or I talk about the ongoing. So I'm going to start with the ongoings this week, and we're going to go straight into Batman 131. This is from writer Chip Zdarsky and artist Miguel Mendonca. And sorry if I mispronounced that. But I've been really, I didn't love the first arc that Chip Zdarsky came out with. The villain was, I forget the villain's name, but he was just essentially this robot that was meant for if Batman were taking all these powers from everyone and to deal with the Justice League. Failsafe, that was his name. So I didn't love Failsafe, but I thought that the story and the writing was solid. It was the first time that I've really been excited reading Batman title for a while, in the full force of it. So I'm excited to see what he does with this next arc. There was a pretty big ending to that arc, so I think that this issue is really going to kind of tell what path Chip Zdarsky is going to take us on, and if it's going to be solid or if it's not going to be solid. So I would highly recommend, if you're looking for a new place to pick up, I don't think that this is it. I would think that you would have to probably read Failsafe's arc before going into this, but I could be completely wrong on that. So I think that it's going to be good, and if you've been reading Chip Zdarsky's Batman, let me know what your thoughts were on Failsafe. So it wouldn't be a new comic book day show if I wasn't talking about a book coming out from Bad Idea. And we've got this week Escape from Wyoming, number 3. This is from writer Robert Venditti and artist Jorge Monlogo and cover artist Tom Fowler. So I really love the first 2 issues of this story. It's kind of, so there's essentially the plot of this book is that there is this, supermax prison for like aliens, and some of them escape into Wyoming and they're trying to essentially get free. But if they don't return to the supermax prison, everyone else in the prison dies. So they've sent one of the prisoners who was at one point an intergalactic cop is now working with a Wyoming cop to try and find these guys. He kind of gets in a scuffle in the second issue with them, and we'll kind of see where that takes off in issue 3. So far, this might be one of my favorite books, but everything I've read so far has been pretty solid. So once again, if you didn't see, I recently sent some comic books to hell for Bad Idea, so I'll maybe have that video linked up here if you want to go check it out. And the next book up in ongoings is The Approach number 3. This is a book that I recently purchased the first 2 issues, and I really planned when I created this list to read those 2 issues. But now I am putting it in here to do the homework to read this book. And this is coming from Boom Studios, and it's coming from the writer team of Jason A. Hurley and Jeremy Hahn and artist Jesus Hervas. I know nothing about this, but I've heard a lot of people talk about this book. It seems to be kind of a horror book from what I can tell, maybe some monster elements. So that is why I have added it to my list of stuff that I'm excited for. I'm going to read these 2 issues in hopes to grab that third, because I did add it to my pull list because I think it is only a short 4 to 5 issue series. It looks about 5 issues, so that is one of the reasons why I added it. I have kind of been hit or miss with Boom, but I've heard so many different people talk about this book that I figured it was one that would be worth it for me to check out. So those are all the books that I have for ongoing books. So I'm going to hand it over to our guest. It is my buddy Comic Book Poser. Let's see what he is picking and what he has to say. So I'm going to hand it over to him, and when we're done with that, I will be back.
Hey everybody, it's me, Remy the Comic Book Poser. I'm here today to welcome you to Enter the Poserverse. When Cole asked me if I would talk about one of my most anticipated comics for the first new comic book day of the new year, January 4th, 2023, I said hell yes. But before I talk to you about my pick, please pre-order our exclusive. If you've not seen Cole and I blasting it all over the internet, we have worked together with the amazing artist Ignacio Demeglio on an exclusive cover limited to only 50 of Coins of Judas, and you can see it right over here on the side. And Cole's will put the details in the description. But my pick of the week from a very small pull list is from AWA Upshot, and the book is called Trojan. Trojan is written by Daniel Kraus, and the artists on it are Lacey and Marco Lesko. Trojan is a book about a society being fractured, where think of your Dungeons and Dragons universe, where you see a variety of different humanoid-esque creatures living together in a fantasy world. And, something happens where a lot of these mythical creatures are pushed to the periphery, and the story focuses on a woman named Nessa who searches the dark, investigates murders on the dark web of these fantasy creatures, and it's like faces of death style televised executions, and she wants to kind of get to the bottom of this. And I'm excited about this book for a couple of reasons. Number one, I am a big fan of a couple of things that Daniel Kraus has written. Most notably, with AWA, he did Year Zero, Volume 0, but my favorite work of his was from Vault Comics, where he did the 8-issue miniseries Autumnal, about the creepy, people who worship the trees, and there was body horror in there, there was supernatural elements. It was so good. The second reason is I'm excited to see what I think might be the comic book debut of the artist Lacey. And then on colors is Marco Lesko, who you've seen do for AWA. You've seen him do Chariot. I'm looking at his League of Comic Geeks list. He did Out. He did Metal Society with Zach Kaplan from Image Top Cow. He's done Gun Honey. He's done some color work on Rat Queens, Doctor Who books. That he does just about everything that you can think of in terms of some different sci-fi titles, and then even some horror titles. The other reason why I'm excited about this is AWA's first offering of 2023, and I think top to bottom, they have been one of the most solid publishers from the last 2 or 3 years combined, that regardless of whether or not it's a book that shows up in the Resistance universe, or if it's, you know, one of the titles like a Casual Fling, or an Out that kind of plays in its own grim world, I think they're consistently one of the top publishers that you should be, you know, reading all of their books. I think I own every single AWA title that has come out, including the COVID and Climate Change Chronicles, but I don't think I've pulled any of the newest Erratic, so you can let me know in the comments of this video if I should go back and read Volume 2 of Erratic. But from a very small pull list, I'm very excited to check out Trojan. It's going to match some of the similar themes that we saw in Absolution or Devil's Highway from AWA, and I think it's going to be outstanding and kick our 2023 off great. The last thing that I'll mention is here is the main cover by Jeff DeKal, and then the other cover, and I don't know where I'm pointing, I'm not looking at my recording. The other variant cover is by Mike Deodato Jr., so I'm going to try and swipe both of these. I think I definitely have the A cover on my pull list. We'll see if my LCS gets a B cover, but I'm excited. Hop on over and check out the things I got going on my channel. We dabble in a little bit of everything. We're in the midst of my son taking over the programming between now and the time that we both have to go back to school. But as always, y'all, thanks for stopping by, and have a good one.
And once again, thank you, Comic Book Poser, for jumping on this and giving me a video about you, talking about some of the comics that you love. I'm going to have a link to him right up here, so make sure that if you are not already subscribed, you go and do that. And if you heard him talk about our exclusive, I will have probably a picture of it right here. And if you didn't notice, if you look at the first coin there, you could maybe see a little bit of me in that coin. But I will have a link down below to that form. I know that I've talked to a few people that I think have had issues maybe filling that out. So if you have any sort of weird issues filling out that form, let us know on Instagram and we'll get you added to the pre-order for that. But I actually read Trojans last night and I highly recommend it. It is a little bit grim in some of what this book is about, but I really enjoyed it. I had the review copy and I figured I would give it a read because I knew that this is the book he was talking about. And I have to say, if Comic Book Poser did not talk about this, this would definitely be a book that made my list too. So I think that is 2 recommendations. But if you do not like grim stories, this definitely dabbles a little bit in the dark web and probably deals with some fairly dark topics. If that's something you don't like, I might skip this one. But I usually will agree that, you know, Comic Book Poser had a pretty good thing. I think that AWA has been one of the best publishers in the past few years. They have had some, you know, books that I don't love, but everything has been solidly written. So I would recommend going back and checking out Erratic Volume 2 because I have really enjoyed it. I do not think the final issue has came out, so maybe wait to get that trade because I think all of the AWA trades are just $9.99. And our first #1 book is going to be Mosley #1, and I think that's how you say it. It's either Mosley or Mosley. #1 from Boom Studios. This is from writer and apparently he's doing the variant cover, Robert Gullery, and artist Sam Lofty. If you do not know, Rob did Farmhands. He was also the artist on Chew. Both of those books I really liked. So usually just by default, I will pull any #1 that has his name attached to it. I have actually read nothing, but as I'm looking at this on my little screen here, they say this is for fans of God Country and Ghost Cage. I have not read Ghost Cage, but God Country I think is one of Donny Cates' best books and is a top tier book. I think that if you have not read God Country, I highly recommend it. So I think that this could be a pretty good book. Who knows what Ghost Cage is, but if you know, let me know and give me a description down below. But I think that this looks pretty cool, and with Rob at the helm, I'm pretty sure that it should be a book that you should be checking out. And next up on our books of #1 is going to be Children of the Black Sun, #1 from Ablaze Comics. This is just a creepy cover that grabbed me. I think that Ablaze has been kind of doing some books that have really kind of gotten my attention. You know, I think that there was a big one that everyone really liked was Animal Kingdom. There's also been a few other ones. I know like Boogeyman came out in that first few issues of that was really good. I liked Porcelain, and there have been some other books that Ablaze has been picking up. So I usually try and look for their number one, and the cover of this just looks kind of grim and creepy, but I'm going to read you the tag for what this book is. And for quoted it has, "It is not difficult to be happy under a blue sky, but it takes a lot of courage to be strong, even under a black sun. So over the years, a black sun has risen twice, a dark dawn whose rays have done terrible things to people's minds, driving them to all sorts of horror. 12 years have passed since the last time, and the world still fears the return of the inexplicable phenomenon. But fear is not the only legacy of those terrible days. All the women who get pregnant under the influence of the black sun have given birth to babies with some peculiarities: white hair, ashy skin, abnormal proportions, and eyes as red as fire, the children of the black sun." That sounds pretty weird and interesting to me. Who knows what's going on in this book, but I think that it could be pretty good, and I would recommend at least grabbing that number one. As I said, Ablaze has been putting out some pretty good comics, and I think that the writer on this is one that wrote on House of Slaughter. So once again, with these number ones, sometimes I like to talk about the covers, and one of the ones that really grabbed my attention, I saw this one on Instagram, which is what made me kind of come back to this. They have the homage cover to Something is Killing the Children. So you'll see that one here now. And there's also going to be a sketch cover. So if you know me, I love to grab some sketch cover. All right, and this is normally the part in the show where I add something a little bit different each week. So this week, we're going to do something I call the Marvel Medley. So there are 3 new number one comics coming out from Marvel, so I'm just going to do a quick pitch of each of them. So the first one is Joe Fixit number 1. This is from writer Peter David, and my favorite of the variants for this is this one. I don't know what's going on, but I've seen a lot of these Marvel covers where they have this like curtain and people are looking through them. I don't know what that is about, but if you do, let me know. So Joe Fixit number 1 is the first one. Next up, we have Scarlet Witch. This is coming from Steve Orlando on writing, and I don't know too much about Scarlet Witch. I also didn't see if this said that it was ongoing or mini for any of these. So if you know those, let me know. That sometimes helps. But my favorite cover for this one is going to be the David Nakayama version. It appears to be variant A. So I don't know if that means that it's through some sort of an exclusive or something like that. But I thought this one looked pretty cool. And there's also a pink sketch cover for this one. And the final one is going to be Shang-Chi, Master of the Ten Rings, number 1. This is from writer Chin Liu Yang, who wrote, I'm pretty sure they wrote Superman Smashes the Clans, which was one of my favorite, of those small little DC books. And that was such a great book. So I want to let you guys help me pick which one of these you think is going to be the best one of the releases from that. So once again, we have Joe Fixit number 1, Scarlet Witch number 1, or Shang-Chi Master of the Ten Rings number 1. So once again, thank you all for stopping by and watching my most anticipated comics, hopefully from the books that I talked about, the books my buddy Comic Book Poser talked about, and the Marvel Medley. You have some books to think about what you want to get for your latest new comic book day and the first new comic book day of the next year. If there is a book out there that I missed that you're thinking about grabbing and you think maybe I'd love to hear it down below in the comments. And even if there's just a cover or a trade coming out, I love hearing what other people are pumped about getting. So please let me know. As Comic Book Poser mentioned, we do have our variant cover. The link is down below, so make sure you check that out if that's something that you're interested in. And once again, everyone, thank you for stopping by. As always, I have been Cole, and peace.
Most anticipated comic books. Most anticipated comic books from Cole.
Oh, you didn't know?
Yeah.
Your ass better call somebody. Yes.
Hello, guys. So Tyler said I wanted to make a video today, but I didn't have time. So Tyler said I could just do it here. So I hope you're all ready for this. Hello, I am Cole. Welcome back to my channel. We're going to talk about my most anticipated comics for January 4th, 2023. That is the first new comic book day of 2023. So everyone, let's see that intro. Hey, Tyler, can you press the intro button?
We have an intro?
Yeah, dude, I sent you the intro.
Here, go ahead and switch.